latest episode of 305 Vox Populi here in the town of Miami Lakes. I'm Mayor Manny Cid, and this is our final episode for Season 3 as we take a break till the new school year comes up. So I wanted to do a shout out for those seniors that have worked really hard on this broadcast. I appreciate you guys. We have a great guest today. We have Coach Ariel from Barbara Goleman Senior High, the football coach, who's taking that program to new heights. How you doing, Coach?
Mr. Mayor, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Thank you for getting me out of work. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you coming on, man. What do you think about this mural?
This mural is amazing. I want to know who did it for you because I want them to do our weight room. We're redoing our weight room. Gosh, they could go out there and do some gators for us and stuff. This is very, very nice.
Oh, we'll make it happen. That's local artist Grisette Gajano. She is a school counselor at one of the local schools. So okay. I'll connect you guys. Her phone number is 786-353-8608. Shout out to Fred Senra. I know you guys had a show last week where the students actually interviewed him, and I know he had some lunch for the students. We're powered by Miami Lakes AutoMall. Fred is the one that has always looked out for us, gave us that seed money, and he did a great job with that the little banquet they did to thank all the students at the last podcast. They're located at 16600 Northwest 57th Avenue, Miami Lakes, 305-455-3510. Our food sponsor, La Traila Barbecue. Thank you, Mel. You've had La Traila?
I haven't, but I'm going to have it now.
Oh, it is amazing. Yeah, you're going to have some before you leave. They're located at 8030 Northwest 154th Street in Miami Lakes. Their phone number is 786-703-6197. Believe it or not, they are ranked the #1 barbecue spot in South Florida.
Are they here in Miami Lakes?
They're here in Miami Lakes.
Of course they are. Of course they are. I'm with it.
They're awesome. So we'll get some of that right after this. Our film production team, Matter Lakes Broadcasting, appreciate you guys. They've taken this program to a new level. And again, those seniors, I thank you very much for all the hard work that you've put in. You're all going to be missed, but you've set the bar high for future generations, which is so important. But thank you guys very, very much. And our roadcaster was donated by Enrique Santos. Thank you, Enrique. He's a great friend. Enrique and Harold were here before, and they donated that roadcaster, which has assisted to take our program to a new level. So appreciate you, Enrique. But to you, Coach, and I think one important thing that we start off the podcast with always is understanding what's your why.
My why.
Why? When did you make the decision to say, I want to be a football coach? I want to coach at Barbara Goleman Senior High and take him to that next level. What's that why? What's the entire perspective behind that?
So, I mean, for me, coaching, it wasn't my first choice. I'll be honest with you. I played football at Goleman, and it had such a huge impact on me, right? I'm an alumni. I graduated in 2006. I was on the 2004 team that won the district, and we went to the playoffs. First team to go to playoffs in school history. And I loved the game. I was not very good at it. I was okay. I was aggressive, but I didn't have the size. I couldn't really play in college. So as much as I wanted to coach, I said to myself, well, I'm not going to play in college. I'm not going to play in the NFL. I don't know how much coaching I could do. So that was my initial thought as a 17, 18-year-old, graduating high school. I go to college. I go to the University of Miami. I did sports administration and political science. I did a double major. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I got an internship with the Miami Dolphins. Mind you, at the same time, I was helping Goleman out at 18, 19, my first years in college. I was helping out Goleman. I was, just a volunteer coach, really getting around it. So I go and I do an internship with the Miami Dolphins on more of their marketing side of things. So I'm there during training camp, and all I could do is look outside the windows and see those guys practicing. And at that moment, it came to me and said, I really, the business side, the marketing, all that wasn't for me. What was happening on that field was what was calling me. So I went back to Goleman and I became an offensive coordinator, and I really started to love it. I really started bonding with the kids and just building an offense. And really that was my first why. It was, wow, this is fun. I get to coach football. I get to call plays in a game. As I got older, I graduated college. And I was going to go off. I was going to go coach at a Division III school in Vermont. Okay, I was going to coach their wide receivers, and they were going to pay for my master's. And literally that summer before I left, I remember I was 23 years old. They give me a call from Goleman. They said the head coaching position is going to be open. Do you want it? And I said, yeah. I'd much rather be in Miami weather than in Vermont weather. I'll tell you that much. So I stayed. I started, built the program, and I'm still on my why. Right. At this point, I'm coaching football. This is fun. My why didn't really start coming in as I matured, and I realized the effect that you have on these kids' lives and the structure that you give them. And it's not just the kids that are going to go play college ball. It's those kids that they're going to play for you for 4 years. Maybe they're a bit undersized. Maybe they're a step too slow, but they're going to take so much from the game of football. You know, and that's my why, because it did that to me. It set me straight. You know, I was a kid. I could have gone in any path. But when I went in as a 9th grader at Goldman and I was in my structure under Coach Patrick, he was my head coach, that structure led me all the way to where I am right now. And that's one thing that I want to share with kids, and I want to give them that. Whether it's you're going to play college football, and we have so many kids that just go to college as students that say, thank you for football, thank you for the structure. We have kids that are going to go to the military or have been going to the military, you know, to serve their country, and they say, wow, I mean, this structure really helped me in the next phase of my life. So I think that is the biggest why.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And I remember when I got elected mayor, and I was like, you know what, we should start a little rivalry, right, between Goldman and HML. Let's have a Mayor's Cup. And at first, you know, Goldman, you guys were in a rebuild mode, right? You still were working on that structure. You're still working on getting everything. And HML had this long history, right? They've had, you're talking about Rohan Davey, Thaddeus Lewis, Armando Allen, Devin Bush.
Yep.
I mean, guys that Ryan Collins. I mean, the list goes on, and Michael Thompson. I mean, all these guys that played in the NFL, right? They were in the league. And Goldman was in rebuild. So that first year we set it up, HML won.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember.
I do remember. It was 20-7. I'll never forget the score. Yep.
I love that about you. That's I didn't remember the score, but wow, that is powerful. And I remember that, and I'm like, okay. And I would hang out on both sides, one half here, one half there. But the second year, something was different. I remember I was like, no, Goldman. Something's going on at Goldman. What was the score that
I believe that was 48-41. I'm not sure. I know we were up by like 35 points at half, and I remember Coach Johnson they came back. They came back in a furious comeback, and we ended up holding on to that game. Yes.
So I remember leaving that game, and I was like, something special is happening at Goldman. Because I remember HML had incredible athletes, and you guys had some great athletes as well, but your program, the way it was structured, I was like, something's going on. And then the next couple years, it was just completely different. Goldman won you guys dominated from beginning to end. And that's when I saw the rise of the Goldman program. And to me, every time I travel and I hear, you guys are considered one of the best coaching groups, your entire staff in Dade County. I hear it all the time. You guys could be a D1 staff. But what getting to that point of starting off 28-7 in the Mayor's Cup, right? Yeah. 28-7 against your rival on the other side of town, to getting to this, where you're back-to-back GMAC champions. I mean, what does that mean to you?
It's huge. It's huge for our program. It's huge for what Goldman is, right? So we were always, the cupcake, right? We were always the team that, teams got for homecoming. And I remember early on, man, I became head coach at the age of 23. And I remember people telling me, you just ended your own coaching career because you're never going to be able to win there. Never. And I thought never was a very strong word, And for that to be able to dominate in our league for 2 years, I mean, we won the league the last 2 years. The 2019, we lost in the title game. I mean, it was still a 10-1 season. It was a very dominant season for us. It just means that our process, the things that we put into place, worked. And one of the big changes, even a couple of years before we started the Mayor's Cup stuff, was when I started to really look and say, okay, how do I build not just a football team, but a whole football program, right? It's an organization, right? I stopped really thinking about plays and X's and O's and what type of offense and what type of defense. And then I went back and I started to really look at what really matters. What we're really running is almost like a business, like an organization. And I went back to some of my courses I took at UM. I did a minor in business management. And, I took a class, and I still had the textbook on just organizational structure, right? And in that book, it talked about how you got to get the right people on the bus, right? You got to get the right people in your program before you can move forward. And that's where it started to change when we started to get these coaches that are these guys. I mean, my defensive coordinator, Dennis Wilson, has been coaching football for 40 years. Okay. When I brought him on board in 2016, it was, explicit that he was going to be our assistant head coach. And I shut my mouth and I learned. That's the one thing. I shut my mouth and I learned from experience. I was able to bring back my head coach, Leonard Patrick. He came on board. Okay. And I can just continue to tell you about all these other coaches we brought onto our staff. Another thing we changed was very early on in my career, I said, well, I got to hire coaches that played at a higher level. Right, so guys that played in college, guys that maybe got a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in the NFL, and I came to find out that these guys were not the right coaches. So instead of caring about what position you played or what your experience was, I wanted to hire smart guys. I wanted to hire thinkers. I wanted to hire guys that could think on their feet and make decisions. And that's what our staff is. I mean, you see it from the top to the bottom. Almost everyone has a master's degree. These are guys that watch film, that learn. I mean, we film every single one of our practices. I don't know how many high schools do that. And then the next day at 2:30, we're in meetings with these kids going over the previous day's practice. Those little things have really, really turned the corner for us, or helped us turn the corner, and just getting better every week. What we are week 1 towards what we are week 12 of the season is completely different because we don't rest on our laurels. That's one thing about us.
No, the details really matter. And I think, to me, one of the most fulfilling things as a coach is something that you've done is not only build character, but get kids scholarships.
Yes.
Get kids free money to go to school to play a sport that they love. And I think that is transformational, not only for the individual, but for a lot of times these families. I mean,
yes.
Families all over Dade County, but they go to Goldman. You're changing the family tree sometimes just by going to college. I'm coaching basketball at Hareb, and for the first time, we have 2 kids that signed with the development team at
awesome.
St. Thomas University. The first 2 kids ever. And to me, that's like the biggest thing.
Huge.
Forget about trophies. That was amazing. So when did that start, that you were able to say, you know what, let's get these kids? Because I saw that you have kids, Delaware State. Was it Delaware State?
Delaware State, yes,
Delaware State. Division I.
Big
deal. And I've seen Minnesota, here, there, from all over the country that you're sending out there. I mean, how does that, what do you get out of that? What do your coaches get out of what do the families react to that when you tell them, kids signing? Your kid's going to get paid to go to school and to play football, and it's going to leave there with something that's going to change their life forever, which is an education.
I mean, look, to me, and it was just, this year we were able to send 7 kids to college.
Wait, 7 kids?
7 kids are going to college.
Awesome.
Obviously we had Avari Marshall who signed Division I, but we had a bunch of other kids that signed Division II, a couple of kids that signed Division III, and that's no slouch. I mean, Division III football is good football. Division II doesn't matter. As long as you get to the next level, you're playing good football. And more importantly, they're going to be paying for, if not your full tuition, a part of it. To me, signing day today was more rewarding than winning a title. I mean, I'll be honest with you. And I'm very honest and open with my kids. To me, that was more rewarding. To have only the second player in Goldman history sign Division I, that was like a culmination of just trying to get these kids something tangible. Right? Not just a ring, not just a shirt, something that is going to change their lives, and seeing those families, seeing how they reacted, right? All that sweat, all those tears, everything, the blood, all that was spilled on that field to mean something tangible for these kids' futures, that's everything. I mean, that's really everything. And even kids that are not going to go play in college, just kids that, hey, coach, I'm going to go to UCF and thank you for providing this structure, because if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I make the grades. It's those kids. Last year's class, we had a kid go to UCLA on a full academic scholarship, and not to play football, but that's huge. That changes a kid's life. And he thanked us. He said, Coach, thank you for this program. Thank you for being on top of my grades. Thank you for doing all those things. So, yeah, to answer your question, I mean, it means more to me, specifically this year, It means more than any championship ring.
That's powerful, and I agree with you. And one of the things that we do different in this program, they get to ask you some questions. I got one more for you before I hand it over to them.
Sure.
What's the future of Goleman football?
Well, listen, the future is as bright as can be. Our staff stays together. That's another thing. Our coaching staff, we haven't had turnover in like 5 or 6 years. These guys stay together. We have a good amount of young athletes that are coming up, guys that maybe were, secondary kind of role players last year, coming up and becoming stars. So we're really excited. I mean, just this last spring season that we ended last week, we had almost 100 kids out for football. We played 3 different games. We beat Coral Reef on May 8th, and then we beat Coral Gables 14-3.
Wow.
And then we lost to Somerset Silver Palms, but it was 8-6. You only play a half. And we were convinced that we played a full game. We're gonna take that. But just to see these kids really step up and say, hey, look, we're gonna be a group of guys. The next class coming through, class of 2023, saying, hey, we're gonna continue this tradition. We're not slowing down. And also, it's just not what's going on within our football program. It's our whole school. We got kids, coming into our school, applying to our school that maybe would have never thought of us as a destination. So, I mean, we have some very talented kids coming in, and kids that are in 8th grade now going into 9th grade. So, I mean, the future is as bright as can be. I'm excited. I mean, I don't want to go anywhere else just because of what we're building there. And once again, what the expectations were, right? I was told at the beginning, you're ending your career by coaching there. Well, things have turned out a little differently.
Hard work, man. Hard work and
that's
dedication.
all it takes.
So what do you guys have for Coach Ariel?
Yep.
Let's say I'm a parent, and I ask you straight up, what do I expect with my son joining your school and your football team? What do I expect as a parent that you're gonna provide for my son?
Okay, so the first thing that I tell parents is, listen, we make 0 promises, right? This is the structure. This is what he needs to do in the classroom. This is what he has to do in the weight room, okay? And if he does those things, then he's going to be rewarded with playing time and possibly going to college, right? Those are the expectations. You're going to get coached at a level that, and not to toot our own horns, but you're going to be coached at a level that's not common down here in South Florida in high schools. And if your child does what he has to do and commits, once again, I'm going to say it again, the weight room, right? That's number one thing. When a kid comes in as an 8th grader going to 9th grade, that maybe he's played some youth football, that's one part of the game that takes him a while to understand. You have to get in the weight room, right? I tell parents that's a non-negotiable. Those kids got to be there. If you do all of those things, then you're going to get a positive reward at the end, through your hard work, through the structure that we have. That's the one thing. But I'm very open and honest with parents, and I don't make promises. I think at the end of the day, it's about providing that structure and seeing if the kid is going to follow through and do the things that he has to do.
Got one more for you.
Talk to me.
I'll ask it straight up. There's one thing wanting to install a new mindset in a program, and then there's another thing to actually see it happen. What was that one win that you go, oh crap, this is actually working?
Well, I mean, it was, I could tell you right away when it was. It was week 1 of 2019. We're playing Reagan High from Doral, right? And they were kind of, when I took over in 2013, that was kind of our measuring stick opponent. It was, okay, how well do we do against Reagan, all right? Coach Lopez over there, he's not coaching over there anymore, but he did a phenomenal job with that program. And my first 2 years, they beat us silly by like 40 points. And progressively, every year we got closer. We got closer. 2018, which was really a lot of those kids that were in our core were just starting as freshmen and sophomores. We lose to them by 2 points. It was a 17-15 game. We missed the 2-point conversion, and it was devastating for our program. It really was. The following year, we played them week 1, okay? And I have never seen, even up to this point, I have never seen a Goleman team more motivated to play a week 1 opponent. And we go out there, and mind you, we hadn't beat these guys since 2011. And we beat them, I think the score was something like 49-7 or something like that. At that point, they were a good football team. They made the playoffs. We actually ended up playing them again in the playoffs. So that was a good football team that was very well coached. And we beat the rails off them. And just to see our guys do what they had to do. I mean, and I can pinpoint it down to a singular play where I said, okay, this is different. Our quarterback's taking off on a QB run, and he's down the field. He's got one defender to beat. And we had a receiver, Zach Valcarcel. He was about 30 yards behind the play. And he comes sprinting, all right, gets in front of our quarterback and knocks out the free safety, and our kid scores. One of the most amazing blocks I've ever seen, just a want to win and to dominate. So that's really the game that I pinpoint that I say, okay, wow, okay, this is going to be different. We've turned the corner. And then the rest of the year, we go undefeated until unfortunately, we lost in the championship game that year. But that was definitely the turning point game when I said, okay, this is different. This program's turned the corner. Yep.
You guys got anything else for Coach?
If you could go back and do something differently, what would that be and why?
I think the first thing I would have done, definitely differently, was going back to, when I got hired, was building better relationships with my players. At first it was more like I was playing Madden. I was calling plays, and I didn't build that tight relationship with my first few classes. And I've told those kids as much. I said, man, I wish I would have had the maturity that I have and the experience I have now back in 2013 and 2014, because we did have some good teams. And I felt like I didn't build enough of that relationship with them to get them to play together. As to opposed to now, these kids, it's like family. Our whole program is like a family. But I was too young. I was too naive back then to do that. But definitely, if I could, I would just take the time to get to know my players better, find out what their motivations are, and make our team play, more united.
Do you feel like that's the secret to your success?
I think so. I think that's a big part of it. These kids, they really do play as one team. I mean, in football, more so than in any other sport, I think you have to play together as a team. That is definitely something that you see in just the culture and just how, now you're really starting to see the senior kids like check the freshman kids. Hey, we don't do that here. They police themselves. And that comes from them building those relationships with us and knowing what we expect of them. We expect at 2:30 you're going to be in your position coach's room, to watch film or to talk or whatever it is. And these guys will. I mean, I do the running backs. Our main running back goes to the courtyard and makes sure that all those young guys makes it up to the room. But those are things because they know that that's my expectation. So that I think is definitely a secret. The secret sauce there to really get that turned around.
You guys got anything else?
Oh, ask away, guys.
I see Lou thinking, but if you don't.
I just want to know, where do you believe your plateau is? I mean, what you've done is extremely impressive. Yes, when they talk about football in Northwest Miami-Dade County, we're talking about nation best, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But when we get to Hialeah, Miami Lakes area, it's like it's just a whole nother world. Obviously, these guys rather play baseball or even boys volleyball. They literally rather play everything else but football. How do you change that mindset?
Well, I think what we've seen over the last couple of years is, first and foremost, the flag program that they got over at Royal Oaks has definitely helped us.
We got 450 kids there.
Huge. That's been huge, first and foremost. So we're getting kids in with at least an experience of, hey, this is a route. This is catching the football. Even listen, grabbing a flag, it's the same thing as tackling. You got to break down. You got to get at the right angle. So that's helped us first and foremost. The second thing is, what's really helped us is our school is a magnet program. All right. So kids, we really get kids from really all North Dade County. Right. So we get kids that maybe should be going to Carroll City or to Norland or to some of these other schools, and they come out to Goldman for a better academic opportunity and an opportunity to play. As far as where do we plateau, I can't give that. I can't say that there's anywhere to plateau. I think if we continue to improve our process and you see just the type of kids that are coming in now into the program, I just can't put a plateau on it. I can't say, hey, this is our limit as a program. We over the last 3 years, we've been 30-3. If you would have told me that before, then, hey man, you're gonna go 30-3. I said, you're crazy. There's no way. So I can't put a plateau on it. We're building a brand new weight room. I mean, state of the art weight room. They're pumping a lot of money into our weight room. we're fixing up our fields. I don't want to put a limit on it because, I just think, it's just like the town of Miami Lakes, man. We're growing beautifully, and we're going to keep growing.
It's a good answer. Good answer. That was on point. On point. You guys got anything else for Coach? We're good? Appreciate you guys. But, Coach, the reality is, too, I mean, and I know you're really humble, but it's kudos to you because that consistency from a coach who's committed, who went through those tough years. I mean, what was your record your first 3 years? You just gave an example. You gave an example of 30-3 the last three. Your first 3 years. What was
my first 3 years, my first team was 2-8. My second team was 2-8. And my third team was 4-6.
So kudos to you for being consistent, for being committed to the program, to the kids, because what I've seen as mayor, as an elected official in the county, is that these coaches move from program to program to program to program, and these programs fall apart.
Absolutely.
And those are kids, and they're nobody's building anything, so I appreciate you, being a leader here in the community, because you're building something, but beyond that, you're committed. And I think for the parents, for the kids, for your coaches, for the fans, for the administration, everybody, that means a lot. Because I'm telling you, I've seen it where everybody wants to jump into the next opportunity, the next place. We want to go, and they abandon that foundation. The foundation falls apart, but what you're building there is really special. So
I appreciate that. I just, I'm happy to be there. It's my alma mater, and that means a lot. And this community means a lot. I mean, it's just being here. I mean, it really is a family atmosphere. And it's true what you say. I think these coaches, they're always looking for that next spot. And, to me, I think you got to make the big time where you're at. And I hope that our kids see that and continue to see that. We coach them with, if we were coaching the Miami Hurricanes, we'd coach them with the same enthusiasm that we're coaching our guys. So very happy to be there.
That's awesome. So, Coach, one thing, too, that we do a little different is that you get to ask me any questions, 1 or 2 questions. So anything you got, we kind of flip the script. Anything you got
Listen,
on my end?
Here's my question to you, all right? When are we getting a stadium here in the town, man? We need it. We need one.
And believe it or not, you know who's been a champion of that has been Jose Bueno, Chair Hatman. They've talked about it, possibly doing it at the Optimus Park. There were some challenges, right? The cost, and there's going to be some redevelopments happening there. So it doesn't. I think they're going to have the green space still available, but I know in the initial plans it's not there. But I know it would be transformational if we had a stadium with lights and. But I know that FHSA requires locker rooms. There's
a lot of requirements. But listen, I'll tell you this much: if we build it, Goldman is playing there. We may not have Miami Lakes in our name, but we are Miami Lakes' high school. That's the way I feel. And, I really hope that we could play some home games in the town of Miami Lakes. That'd be huge.
I'd be all in favor of that. I think it'd be awesome. But there are fiscal realities that we're dealing with. But I do know that it's been discussed. I know it's not part of the plans right now, but I know that there's some green space on the north end of Miami Lakes Middle. Oh, wait a second. I see.
More than invited to play at the new stadium that we're building in St. Thomas.
Really? I would love to. I know they're building a really good stadium. I'm good friends with Coach Niemeyer. He's the offensive line coach there, and he's told me. So we'd love to.
We just got the video board in. It's the rest of the horseshoe stands we're putting in.
Listen, we'd love to do it. It's not in the town of Miami Lakes, but hey, it's still a great stadium. We'll play there. Absolutely.
That's awesome. No, thanks for that.
Thank you for letting us know.
Appreciate that. Anything else you got for me?
I really don't, man. I'm just happy, to be here and just let you know what you've done with our town. And I say ours. I don't live in Miami Lakes anymore, but listen, I grew up here. I'm just so happy with what you've done and how you support the athletic programs and everything else. So, kudos to you and what you've been able to do in your time here as mayor. And I can't wait to see what else you do.
I appreciate that, Coach. And again, thank you. Appreciate you spending some time, because I think a lot of times folks like you that work so hard to transform the lives of so many kids. Because one thing that you said that was very powerful was that these kids might not be, getting college scholarships for football, but they're learning a structure that they're going to use in their life. And you had a bunch of other ones get academic scholarships, do this and that, but it went back to what they learned from a team sport like football.
Correct.
Which is so powerful. So, Coach, in closing, any words of motivation, inspiration to future generations? Because the majority of the folks that watch this are young kids in high school. Matt, by the way, Matter Lakes does not have a football program, so you guys don't compete.
We're friendly.
Friendly for sure. But any words of inspiration, motivation that you have in closing and any other words for that future generation?
I think the one thing that I'll say is, look, there's no replacement for hard work. You know, I know that now this generation, they want things to happen in an instant, and that's not how this works. And specifically with our business, and let's say you want to be a football player or a football coach, you got to, you know, like we tell all of our young coaches, you got to shut your mouth for a bit and learn before you can do something. It's in any business, in anything you do. Just sit back and learn and understand there's no replacement for hard work. You know, if you focus yourself on that and you understand that you're going to, you know, get your hands dirty sometimes, then you're going to be successful. You know, then you're going to really be successful. Don't shy away from the hard work. Just get after it.
That is powerful. And there you have it, Coach Ariel, the head coach for the back-to-back GMAC champions, Barbara Goleman football team, the Gators. And I know you guys are going to keep doing great things. So tune in next Wednesday on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.